Honorable Ministers, Heads of Delegation, public and private sector partners, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome to the press conference following the culmination of the high-level policy dialogue on women in the economy 2015 Fora. We are proud to announce that we have made tremendous progress over the past 3 days in promoting gender diversity and increased participation of women in the economy. On behalf of the Philippines and the Department of Trade and Industry, I would like to extend our appreciation to other member economies for their active participation in the APEC Women in the Economy 2015 Fora. The theme for this year's Fora is Women as Prime Movers of Inclusive Growth. We recognize the important role played by women to boost economic growth that will be felt by all sectors of the society. And as a global community, APEC shall help break down barriers to increase women's access to capital, skills, capacity building and health, women's leadership, voice and agency, and innovation and technology. With the insights gained from the public-private policy dialogue on women and the public policy dialogue on women and the economy, held last September 16 and 17, the heads of delegation during the recently concluded high-level policy dialogue on women and the economy have adopted the Women and the Economy 2015 Fora statement that shall bring to bear new growth strategies for women in inclusive business, women's integration in the global value chain and regional economy, and women practicing sustainable development. So without further ado, it is my distinct honor to invite the chair of the APEC Women and Economy 2015 Fora and the Undersecretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, Honorable Nora K. Tirado, who will deliver the press statement of the high-level policy dialogue of the APEC Women and the Economy 2015 Fora.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ministers and heads of delegation to the high-level policy dialogue on women and the economy met here in Metro Manila on the 18th September 2015 under the chairmanship of the Philippines. We welcome the participation of the 2015 chair of the APEC Business Council, or APEC, and the APEC Secretariat. The main theme of the APEC Women and the Economy 2015 Fora, Women as Prime Movers of Inclusive Growth, reaffirms women's crucial role in achieving economic prosperity and women's leadership roles as imperative for competitiveness and success in the private and public sectors. The APEC Women and the Economy 2015 Fora also tackled 3 sub-themes: Women and Inclusive Business, which highlighted how women from the base of the pyramid are empowered as producers, suppliers, distributors, workers, and/or consumers. Women in the international markets and value chains, which discussed how women leaders use innovation as a means to breaking barriers and effectively competing in global value chains and regional economies. Women and Sustainable Development, which highlighted success stories and case studies on women's resilience, including health and wellness linked to productivity, family management, and human capacity development, and disaster preparedness and business continuity planning in the context of the changing climate and environment. To address issues within these sub-themes more efficiently, senior officials approved the holding of 2 policy partnership on women and the economy meetings this year for economies leading projects under the PPWE and across the APEC Fora to ensure that gender equality and women's economic empowerment is being pushed forward for consideration by senior officials, ministers, and APEC leaders. PPWE, the working group arm of the APEC WE, has finally come up with its own strategic plan for 2015 to 2018, which lays down specific objectives, targets, and desired outcomes which support integration of gender-responsive policies and programming and promote stronger cross-fora collaboration to further advance women's economic empowerment and gender equality goals across APEC work streams. PPWE also noted the gender-responsive provisions of the Boracay Action Agenda to globalize MSMEs or MISMEs, particularly on strengthening women-led MISMEs through the use of sex aggregation data in measuring the economic and social impacts on MISMEs and an understanding of divergent constraints faced by male and female-led MISMEs. Policy Partnership on Women and the Economy, the working group arm of the APEC-WE, which is being chaired by the Philippine Commission on Women for the successful first PPWE meeting in Papua New Guinea and the PPWE second meeting held yesterday. I would like to express my congratulations for finally coming up with this. The PPDWE, the Public-Private Dialogue on Women and the Economy, gathered yesterday. Some of you must have been there, with more than 800 participants and guests from the public and private sectors, academe, and representatives from non-governmental organizations. PPDWE highlighted inspiring stories and the unique role of women as prime movers of inclusive growth. It provided an educational and interactive forum for sharing good practices and insights into tapping women's potential through, for example, leveraging technology and e-commerce. PPDWE recommended to invest on the youth, specifically in education, especially in the areas of science, technology, and mathematics. Doing so will allow us to take advantage of the rising need for talents and people in the fields of information technology, research, and innovation. Let us increase women participation in this area. It is also emphasized that women are more than just a niche market, but rather a driving force for economic change. The PPDWE shall continue to pursue a women's economic empowerment agenda to create new opportunities for women, highlighting in particular the need for collaboration between public and private sectors and civil society in designing and implementing programs for women. The complete set of statements will be available at the APEC Secretariat website. Thank you. I now open the floor for discussion and questions.
Thank you, Undersecretary Torardo. And before we open the floor to questions from our friends from the media, let me set some ground rules. Please, sorry. Please introduce your name and your affiliation, and in the interest of time, and to give everybody a chance to be heard, you will be allowed to ask only one question, and if necessary, one follow-up question at a time. So please, anyone would like to ask their first question, please, to our distinguished panel of speakers. Yes, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Muda from Philippines News Agency. What are the deliverables and the timeline for the strategic plan 2015-2018?
Thank you for that question. Your question is about what are the timelines and the deliverables of the strategic plan. Okay. The strategic plan has in it timelines defined in such a statement, the copy of which can be shared with you. It's a little bit thick, and so essentially it will pursue the four elements, the main elements described in the 5 areas of the 5 pillars of the PPWE, which is for the Women in Economic Empowerment. And these deliverables and timelines are in the following categories. Number 1, access to capital and assets. Number 2 is access to credit. Markets. Thank you very much. Number 3 would be capacity building, health, and leadership. Number 4, thank you very much. Number 4 is technology and innovation. And number 5, voice and agency. Thank you very much. Forgive the chair. Maybe I'm very tired and old as a senior citizen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Undersecretary Tirado. Anyone else would like to ask their next question, please?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Doris Dumlo from the Philippine Daily Inquirer. There's a statement recognizing the commitments of G20 leaders to reduce the gender gap by 20% by 2025, but does the body feel, is there a strong sense that this target could be met within the APEC economy?
Based on the statements that we heard today from the various economies, almost every one of those represented during this fora have reported that they're making progress with respect to that one. In behalf of the rest of us here, we feel, I would say that we feel confident that we shall reach those goals. We're on track.
Okay. Any other questions from the floor?
I believe you have the press statements, and if there are other questions, please feel free to send that to Director Trish Abejo also, and we will be happy to supply you with a statement.
Yes. Thank you, Undersecretary. In fact, we did provide copies of the statement that the HLPD had provided earlier today. So if there are questions related to that, we can entertain them now. But of course, follow-up questions can also be addressed to us in the Department of Trade and Industry.
Thank you. Some of us present here, have planes to catch. And please feel free, you're free. Please be at liberty to send me your questions. I'll ask the chair, and representing the team that met today, I will be very glad to respond to you.
Well, that wraps up our press conference this afternoon. Thank you, honorable ministers and heads of delegation, particularly Honorable Nora K. Tirado, APEC Women in the Economy 2015 Fora Chair, for your active participation in the discussion. I would also like to thank our friends for the media for your interest in complementing our efforts in encouraging a more active participation of women in the coming years to achieve inclusive growth. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all of you.